seems as though I went in a little splurge of Mario Bava movies. Next up was Five Dolls for an August Moon. It's a bit of a title, a bit of a mouthful. I had to just think about that one there for a second. Again, this one seems like a very similar story to A Bay of Blood. In which case you have an island. You have these adults. There's not really very many teenagers along here at all. It's all very adult centric. We have these adults at an island at somebody's getaway. They're having a party. It turns out that one of the main people there, who is a scientist, has created a formula. We don't know what for. Doesn't really matter. It is going to be worth a lot of money. He's a pretty good guy and is just going to give it out there for people to use. 3 of his friends have banded together. They're putting in $1 million each and they want to buy this formula from him so they can just go and make a load more amount of cash. But he doesn't care about the money. He's all about just benefiting human people, just benefiting mankind. He doesn't want no dirty cash. But these guys just won't take no for an answer. And it's a movie that kind of plays out in a strange fashion, because I was expecting a typical Giallo movie. You get the setup, you get the murder, you get the mystery, you get a lot more murders, crazy reveal. Here, you get a lot of time spent with the sort of inner workings of all the relationships here. You get to know all the characters and what they're all after and how duplicitous a lot of them are and how they are all rather not that nice people. Apart from the scientist, who does want to just benefit mankind. And they're trapped on the island. They've sent the yacht away because they're expecting a storm. Somebody washes up in the beach dead, one of the deckhands, and they discover that their little speedboat has vanished as well. So they're kind of trapped on this island for a number of days, knowing that there is a murderer amongst them, and people start to drop dead. And it does take a good chunk of time just to get used to the characters, just to get used to these people. And it was something I wasn't expecting, but I rather enjoyed that build up, getting to know them all before the carnage began. And there is almost comedic moments in it where they're taking the bodies, they're trying to preserve them for the authorities, hanging them up within this big industrial freezer chiller thing. And it just, every time there's a dead body, it just cuts to this new body hanging in this freezer. It's like a funny image. I don't know if it's supposed to be intentionally funny. I thought it was hilarious every time we went to it. Of course, by the time we get to the end of the movie, it starts to ramp up all these revelations of what has happened. There is some moments which just leave you going, have we jumped ahead of time? What is happening here? Who is the killer? Who's the perpetrator behind this? We get some fun atmospheric moments. We get some really fun mysterious moments of things that you just don't quite understand. There's a moment, there is a teenage girl living on the island as well, and she takes a shawl at one point and takes it down to the beach and hides it, and when questioned doesn't really have an answer, and it's something that's not really explained again. And there's lots of little things like that throughout this movie. The camera work is extremely weird as well, which I kind of like, and there's lots of fun scenes. There is a scene where somebody is attacked up the stairs within a room and they knock over a table that has all these glass balls in it, and as the struggle continues, the camera follows the glass balls as they bounce down the stairs, follow through the floor into a hallway, into a bathtub where another dead body is. And it's just a nice way of transitioning from one scene to another, that it's not just your usual jump cut or anything like that. It's nicely filmed and thought out, and there's plenty of scenes like that as well. There is also more in-your-face strange scenes as well. There's one where there's a girl on a swing, and every time she swings out, the camera zooms in, and when she swings back, the camera zooms back again. It's strange, it feels odd, but then it fits in with this strange aesthetic that the movie has. One thing I wasn't overly keen on was the score, and I feel it's very much set in the 60s scores, and it feels very much a product of its time. Now, most of the scores in these movies do feel products of the time, but they have standout themes that kind of rework themselves throughout the movie. This never really had it, and it never really felt in spirit with the whole movie that it was telling. It felt a little bit too light, a little bit too jaunty for my liking. But that's a small niggle in amongst another pretty terrific Mario Bava movie. I like this one a lot more as it moved on. I was a little bit on the back foot at the start when it didn't quickly jump into the murders and the plot getting heavy, but allowed me to breathe in amongst the characters. I loved some of the camera work. I thought the tale was ever so slightly familiar to A Bay of Blood, but we can forgive it that little transgression because it came first more than anything. But it's a similar storyline that you've seen in plenty of other movies as well. I would recommend this one. If you are a fan of Bava, if you're a fan of Giallos, or looking for something that, say, a precursor to most of them, one of the early versions of that, Five Dolls for an August Moon is pretty terrific. I had a lot of fun with it. Wacky title, really great. Another fantastic Arrow release. This one's been out a while, and I was very pleased to discover the booklet inside it, because as you know, these are limited to the first print run, so getting something for it's been out for a while with a booklet is like getting that golden ticket inside a Wonka chocolate bar, almost. I'd love to know your thoughts on Five Dolls for an August Moon. Let me know in the comment box below, and I will see you next time on Man vs Film.